Welcome to The Dish for August 4th, 2025. The Dish is 15 minutes of curated insights and intelligence for federal contracting stakeholders. I'm your host, Go-To Guy Timberlake of the ASPC, and today we're serving up three essential topics. First, DoD's 40-year challenge to GSA pricing authority and why contractors should think long and hard about the need for a GSA multiple award schedule. Then, OMB's proposal to end free SAM.gov registration with user fees, a fundamental shift from taxpayer funding that creates new marketplace confusion. Finally, I address Washington Technology's commentary on the consolidation underway and small business impacts. It seems some of the concerns may overstate immediate effects. Plus, in our Worth Noting segment, we'll recognize outstanding contributors to the GovCon community. Let's get to it. We start today with a story 4 decades in the making that explains why DoD contractors should really think long and hard about the need for a multiple award contract. Our latest intelligence brief by Sherlock ES traces DoD's systematic challenge to GSA's pricing authority, a 40-year battle that broke GSA's procurement monopoly. It started with 1979 GAO documentation citing that GSA lacked adequate pricing oversight. The revolution came March 13th of 2014 when DoD's Richard Ginman issued a class deviation rejecting GSA's predetermination that scheduled pricing is fair and reasonable. Ginman's memo stated, GSA's determination does not relieve the ordering activity contracting officer from the responsibility of making a determination of fair and reasonable pricing for individual orders. This was a declaration of independence. This also explains the current procurement landscape better than any OMB memo. DoD developed complete independence from GSA pricing through better buying power and should-cost analysis. The results? Better buying power reduced DoD cost growth from 9% in 2011 to 3.5% in 2015. DoD recognized that while $60 billion annually in commercial goods could benefit from GSA approaches, the majority of DoD's $225 billion at the time in acquisitions required DoD-specific methods. That's why DoD accounts for $400 billion of the $500 billion in common goods and services spending in fiscal year 2024, but they consistently tend to avoid GSA vehicles. Here's the uncomfortable truth. In 76 years since GSA's formation, the Schedules program has never captured more than 10% of federal spending, sometimes less than 1%. This includes years when it was listed in FAR 8.002 as a required source of supply, just like Federal Prison Industries and Ability One. The 2014 class deviation that's still in effect today means that DoD, NASA issued one too, cannot use GSA's fair and reasonable price determination, eliminating a key selling point for contracting officers. Understanding this history is critical for positioning your company correctly. If you're targeting DoD, pay attention to how DoD addresses mission-focused and complex requirements, as indicated by the recent OMB memo. Additionally, products that come under the remaining 9 defense-centric categories have not been identified for consolidation thus far. The rules favoring GSA existed before, but adoption never followed. The procurement monopoly is broken, and DoD proved there are better ways to buy, especially for the warfighter. This episode of The Dish is brought to you by our 2025-2026 coalition partner, IT Availability, a mission-focused information technology firm led by former senior technology executives from the U.S. intelligence community. Their technical professionals excel at implementing new technology, mitigating cyber risk, and ensuring data integrity. with experts spanning satellite and terrestrial communications, network operations, cybersecurity, software development, and data center services. IT availability brings deep understanding of IC customers' mission needs and delivers real solutions for meaningful outcomes. Learn more about them on web at itavailability.com. Our second story could fundamentally change how businesses enter the federal marketplace, and it connects to a decades-long battle against predatory registration services. OMB's revolutionary FAR overhaul legislative proposals transmitted to the 119th Congress include Section 7, common sense fees for the integrated award environment. This would end the era of free SAM.gov registration. According to the proposal, GSA is seeking authority to charge a one-time fee of $75 to $125 for new entities receiving a unique entity identifier, or UEI, plus an annual registration fee of $25 to $50 for entities with federal awards. The target: collect approximately $40 million annually from over 780,000 active registered entities and 250,000 plus new entities requiring UEIs each year. This represents a fundamental shift from taxpayer funding to user fees. SAM.gov's FAQ states the system is free because SAM.gov is a federally mandated and funded program. Currently, 24 CFO Act agencies pay annual contributions into GSA's Acquisition Services Fund, but that model is broken. GSA's taxpayer-funded ASF has absorbed $690 million in shortfalls since 2015, with annual gaps averaging $73 million. The irony is profound. For decades, third-party companies have charged businesses hundreds or thousands of dollars for registration services that are actually free, creating so much confusion that the government promptly displays official U.S. government website 100% free on SAM.gov's homepage. Now the government proposes their own fees, shifting from full taxpayer funding to a user fee model. This creates a policy paradox. If registration becomes legitimately fee-based, how do you distinguish between government fees and third-party charges in the marketplace? This proposal faces significant implementation challenges beyond just congressional approval. The legislation would require detailed financial modeling and stakeholder engagement before fees take effect, but the underlying issues run deeper. For decades, the free registration message has been the government's primary defense against predatory services. If that changes, expect a communications nightmare as legitimate government fees get confused with illegitimate third-party charges. Small businesses, who make up over 80% of contractors, would face new barriers to entry. The bigger story here isn't just the fees. It's how this shift could reshape the entire federal contractor onboarding system. We'll dive deep into this predatory service history and analyze the full implications on an upcoming Getting Fed podcast, including how contractors can protect themselves in this changing landscape. Today's episode is also hosted by our 2025-2026 coalition partner, Global Services, helping you achieve federal proposal success for government contractors for more than 25 years. They've helped over 3,000 businesses earn more than $25 billion in contracts. As a small business themselves, Global Services understands your unique challenges and makes the proposal process efficient, transparent, and approachable. Their mission: technically proficient, customer-focused proposal development that creates success stories for every client. Visit them online at globalservicesinc.com. So our third segment takes a look at an op-ed commentary by Washington technology editor Nick Wakeman. It was titled New OMB Memo Ignores the Small Business Impacts of Contract Consolidation. And while I agree that current policies are squeezing small businesses, some of the concerns may overstate the immediate and even more near-term impacts. In the commentary, Nick Wakeman indicates that OMB's Procurement Consolidation Memo disadvantages small businesses through relationship centralization and big contract barriers. He cites congressional testimony showing a 26% decrease in small business utilization across big vehicles over the first 6 years of category management. He warns that as centralization happens at GSA, that centralization of relationships will quickly follow. Success will depend on relationships with GSA officials rather than agency-specific contracting officers, potentially creating more disadvantage for small businesses who have built relationships with specific agencies. The commentary reflects legitimate concerns about small business access in an increasingly consolidated marketplace. Now, while these concerns are valid, they assume capabilities GSA doesn't yet possess. Big vehicles represent only 13.7% or $67 billion of total federal spending last fiscal year. Despite managing consolidation efforts since 2012, BICs have never achieved the levels associated with the hype. The real challenge isn't just moving $170 billion in Tier 1 obligations to strategic vehicles. It's that much of the $500 billion in common goods and services simply can't go on multiple award schedules. DoD's $400 billion alone includes non-commercial construction, complex mission-specific requirements, and service that don't fit commercial definitions. The concerns also assume GSA can achieve roughly a 10x increase in contracting capacity soon, a significant operational challenge considering layoffs. The consolidation concerns are understandable, but may be premature given implementation realities. The OMB memo includes language allowing agencies to opt out for requirements that are mission-focused and highly complex, exactly where much current spending occurs. GSA's track record suggests gradual rather than dramatic consolidation. The relationship argument assumes GSA can effectively manage the institutional and mission knowledge currently held by thousands of agency contracting officers. While procurement policies are indeed creating pressure on small business, the timeline and scope of consolidation may be less immediate than feared, giving the small business community time to adapt and overcome in a changing landscape. Our coalition partner program represents the best in federal contracting, from cutting-edge technology firms to strategic consulting organizations. These partnerships enable us to deliver the insights and intelligence that keep you ahead of the curve. If you're interested in joining our coalition of industry leaders, visit us online at theaspc.org. Too often overlooked are the people and organizations making a difference without making the headlines. We think they're worth noting, so we created a segment called Just That. So before we wrap up this edition of The Dish, here are some people from the federal contracting community worth noting. First, I want to recognize my fellow IVMF Bunker Labs ambassador cohort from Syracuse University's Institute for Veterans and Military Families, or IVMF. This past week at our ambassador fly-in, I experienced a level of authentic love and support that was powerful and very much needed. The work this cohort is doing to help military-connected entrepreneurs thrive is legendary. The scale of what's happening and what's coming is awesome. Whether it's at Vets Fest 2025 in Atlanta, Vet Social Summit, or the Military Influencer Conference, This community is driving real impact for veteran entrepreneurs. I'm honored to serve alongside these incredible leaders who are building the future of veteran entrepreneurship. And on a side note, congrats to the hot dogs for their creativity and commitment. I hear on good authority that vets do that. Second, I want to recognize Annette Evans, the new CEO of GME Enterprises, a risk management firm in Maryland that was started by her mother, Gwen Muse Evans. As a member of our Wingman program, I've had the pleasure of watching Annette's remarkable evolution into leadership. What's worth noting is her fearless and thoughtful approach to new knowledge and relationships. I've witnessed her transformation from, intimidated to outright owning the mantle of CEO. And the results of her leadership style are bearing fruit for her and her team. Her genuine approach and rapid growth demonstrate exactly what dedicated leadership development can achieve. Congratulations, Annette. Finally, I want to remember my late friend, Richard Dean, whose heavenly birthday was July 22nd. It's hard to believe it's been almost 10 years since he left us. But for those who knew him, the man with the outstanding elevator pitch and Mickey Mouse earring left an indelible mark on us. Whether it was at the Silver Diner in Tyson's during business over breakfast, or hamming it up in photo ops at our conferences or holiday charity bash, Richard always had a moment to sit and share his knowledge, his love of his family, and his Lord. How much I and many others miss him is worth noting. Know someone doing exceptional work in GovCon and making a difference? Send us their story at thedish@theasbc.org. We're looking for practitioners who are getting results, not just making noise. Folks, that's the dish for this week. Remember, in federal contracting, the companies that get shit done are the ones that stay ahead of the intelligence curve. Use what we've served up, take action, and we'll be back next week with another 15 minutes of insights. I'm Go-To Guy Timberlake, and this has been your latest serving of the dish.